Good morning, everybody. My name is George Lesher. I'm president of Cogitate Incorporated. Most of you know me, so hello, everybody that knows me. Again, thank you for coming in and attending our webinar today. We're going to be talking about in updates, invoice post, and I'm going to show and tell just a little bit of the new equipment module if there's time. Our next webinar will be August 3rd. Again, we don't know what we're going to be talking about, but usually it's updates and some kind of, topic that we want to cover. Again, today's agenda, updates, invoice posts, and new equipment module. There is a lot in updates that we're going to be covering today. All right, so let's just jump right in and get going on updates. In payroll, we did some work on the import time card system. There was some issues where it wasn't displaying the account number correctly that it was importing. It was actually importing it to the right account number. It just wasn't displaying it right. And we also updated how we locate and find your equipment capital outlay, your direct equipment expense, and your direct fuel expense account numbers for different pieces of equipment as well. That way we don't have to have the numbers, we can work with multiples because it's becoming kind of an issue where some road commissions have it in different places. So we built it so we could work around that. We added additional categories to the MERS contribution source. So in the deduction types, I think we've covered this before, but we added both employer match and employer non-match. So you will see that, MERS, good old Empower has pushed us to a kind of a crazy edge on some of our deduction codes with it. We updated payroll posts so multiple users can be in it at the same time. That was kind of a goofy thing that we missed before. Again, it was just a matter of setting a couple of settings in our place. That way payroll posts can be done with multiple places. We had to fix, again, a lot of issues with that, with Empower's import. It's not really MERS, it's Empower, but because they don't really have a standardized, import. So, but we added the plan number to the trailer record at this point. We've updated the format to do 2 decimal places instead of being able to go to 4. We updated the upload files to handle the different contribution sources. So again, we've already covered MERS quite extensively in a couple of other webinars recently. Whoops. So you should be able to, cover that. So then in payables, we updated the pay invoice menu to display the bank name when you're loading a prepay. Again, it's just another little quick thing to just so that you know what's going on in the payables. Simple that, doesn't really make much changes, but we wanted to cover it. In general, we were able to get with our vendor and fix the issue they were having with the memory on when we were displaying an Excel spreadsheet. So the 3 places in Pro Fund Accounting, Act 51, financial statements, and export to Excel no longer have that warning and no longer kick you out after they're done. We've updated the grid editing to our new style in the different following menu items: the call log, cash receipting customers, invoice post, road names, source of entry, employees, ACA reporting, and purchase orders and vendors. So we have some places where we did that inline editing. So you'll see that. I'm going to show that a little bit here when we get to some of the show and tell. I'm just going to cover kind of what's going on first, and then we'll get to seeing it. We added a button to the details grid to collapse or expand all the rows. In customers itself, we updated bill codes to calculate the amount based on the price each and quantity fields, but we did want to make sure you could still add any dollar amount you wanted to manually. But this way, what we are giving up is the fact that you won't be able to put a price each in if you're going to update the account manually. So it's either a quantity and a price each, and then we'll calculate the amount based on those numbers, or it's a quantity and an amount, and the price each just stays blank. But we also, from road names in customers, we shortened up the form quite a bit. We were never really using the full road name anywhere, so we weren't using the road name anywhere. We were always using full road name on everything. So we decided to just shorten up the thing and get rid of some of the extra redundant fields that were on there. Another update we did in inventory, we fixed an issue with the import barcode and empty value that was saved. Like there's some places where you could possibly have an empty value. It was putting out a bad entry into the general ledger transaction for other reports. And we've corrected that now to say the dollar amount is a zero instead of an empty dollar amount. We updated purchase orders to allow entering purchase order lines without any amount. So quantity and price are now optional, even without an inventory code. So we did quite a bit of work on purchase orders. We also updated a big message at the beginning of purchase orders. If you have a whole bunch of lines, a lot of things got cleaned up in purchase order formatting. In fixed assets, we added a checkbox at the beginning of fixed assets calculation to automatically update service dates on fixed assets with a missing in-service date. So if you have a fixed asset that has a purchase date but no in-service date, we have a checkbox that will set that in-service date correctly based on the purchase date. So if you haven't set one, it will set it. It's just a way that you can get that set, automatically by us if you have that. In my work, we did some issues where we had a little snafu on a fix that we did earlier, which made copying an individual time card. It basically would remove the equipment from the first time card. So it wasn't necessarily copying, it was just moving it by accident from the old time card to the new time card. So we corrected that aspect right away as quickly as we found. As soon as we heard about it, we fixed it. We updated time card entry to not allow employees to post time cards to work orders where they don't have permission to the piece of equipment that's on that work order. So again, we don't really have permissions on a work order. We just have permissions on equipment. So we wanted to make sure we honored that in the work order. We also fixed an issue where alerting employees that they've gone over their hours per day would not show. So if you went into a brand new day and you typed in 12 hours for one job on the very first time card for that day, we wouldn't show you the warning that you've gone over the number of hours per day. We have now since corrected that. So now even if the first entry one is the one that makes you go over, we do give you the employee a message that says you're entering more hours than you're supposed to have for the day. We updated the events list as well. It looks like the employees' events, when we were showing those for the employees and the supervisors, to only show the events that were selected in Pro Fund Accounting settings. Again, additionally, the updated list to display the events in order by date. We wanted to make sure that the date it was kind of hard to see what was going on when you had several events for employees. So by date was a nice compromise to see them correctly. We also, looks like I missed this time card. Okay. We updated the supervisor events to properly show all the secondary employees when the secondary time card is checked. That was another issue that we had. For updates, we updated the following reports to our new report engine this last time. A lot of equipment reports, essentially. You can look through the list. I'm not going to read them. We also added some bookmarks, so we're kind of improving them a little bit. Also, we've combined the equipment list with VIN report with a couple of other ones, so that because we used to have a whole slew of just an equipment list with this, an equipment list with that kind of thing. So we kind of combined them together to give you parameters to get that same kind of report from the other one, but it's just one report that you're able to do it. We also had a parameter to show and hide plate numbers and disposal dates. So we also, again, added the bookmarks so that you can see it, and you can now column sort the report. We fixed the customer invoices report. Line items don't require a quantity, and to make sure the header records appear not as a line item in customer invoices. We added the invoice date to the history sections in the AP vendor history report. A variety of other things we've done. The distribution report, I wanted to cover that. I'm going to show and tell what we kind of did there, as well as a tip for now. One of the things that has been happening with the new reports when we have a drill down is the primary page will go back to page 1. While we haven't necessarily fixed that, we've made an adjustment for that, and I'll show what that is so it won't go back to page 1. But it's a little goofy what you have to do. But with the tip, it's not that bad. It's just one extra click, We'll keep it from going back to page 1. And I'll show that here in just a few minutes. And we also adjusted some of the issues we had with it on a summation on the distribution report. All right, so invoice post, that's all for our updates. Invoice post was a kind of a new thing we did. We released it. It works very similar to the new GL post we have, where you can choose to a journal load or you can create or duplicate a journal. Why would you want to duplicate an invoice journal? If you have a series of invoices that you're sending out month after month that generally don't have that much change to it, you can make up a single invoice post journal and then duplicate it for your next month's send out. Again, as long as the amounts, don't really change that often, or if they do, you just have to go and update your duplicate journal. So that's why we added, we wanted to make sure you had that ability. Some of the bigger differences between the old one and the new one, you actually have access to both at this point. But sales tax is now a bill code created by the user, and it's not a special bill code like we had before. So you can name it whatever you want. You can have multiples. You can have Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio sales tax. You can do anything like that. We automatically add it when you specify it. And then coming soon, we're just about finished with the new payment post. And when that's done, we will allow you to make ARIs with any account numbers you want, like purchase orders where we doing, what I'm saying, where the purchase orders, where cash receipting has the little pencil, you can change the account numbers. ARI will also have the same pencil that you could change the account numbers, and then the new payment post will be able to take effective in that. And we're going to be removing the legacy pieces in August, but we're going to be having a big training session on how to use the new invoice post and the new payment post that we have. So we will be, covering that. And like I said, a lot of this August is going to be a big month of, changeover because of the next one, equipment. Everybody should know by now we've been changing our equipment and making updates to equipment to improve it. We've slowly released it. We've been asking a lot of folks for some help at this point to look at it. So we released a lot of changes to a series of test places. If you can help us, please do so. Get in touch with me to get started on it. I can unlock it so you can see the new equipment mate. I'm going to show a little bit of it today, like I said, if we have time, but so that you can see it and start playing with it and start getting used to it, as well as, right now all our developers are heavy onto the knowledge is fresh in their mind on how all these pieces work together. So if you want to change or an update, or you'd said, hey, this would be great if we could, now is the time to get those into us. We'll be, those will be happening. In fact, our last, when we put it to them, he gave us 3 ideas and they're already implemented. That was just I think on Thursday, we turned it on for them, and, we've already made changes for, based on their input. So again, we're looking for a good feedback on that. So if you have been using our current one, that's going to be a bonus. But if you haven't and you're looking to maybe, use it into the new one, go ahead and call us. We have integrated with Samsara with it, and if you do have something else that we want to do, you can look at it. So we kind of, again, preventive maintenance is now its own menu item. We moved work orders to work. We updated the work orders, and work order calculation kind of went away. That concept, it's now scheduling maintenance. We have a whole scheduling maintenance system that puts a lot of the pieces together. Again, like I said, we added the Samsara integration, and if you have another one like Verizon and you want to get with us to do that, please get in touch with me and we can get started on an integration with other ones right now. Like I said, it's real easy to do. It's not that hard for us to integrate. We just need to know that this is what you need or what you would like, so we can go ahead and get started on that with that company. There's usually a good, like with any company, they want to make sure we have, we're all on the level. There's non-disclosures. There's just a lot of agreements that have to be, maintained legally outside of just us doing it. But we'll, go through that for you and make sure that we can get access to those things. We changed the label on the equipment rental update because didn't really remember that, but old people know that because it's been around forever. So we changed it to say Schedule C rates. That way it's going to be much more accurate to the MDOT because that's what it's called at MDOT is the Schedule C rates. Now, another one that we've been changing and upgrading is the import fuel readings, but we had a whole slew of different imports that were no longer being used. So we're asking if anybody is currently using our import fuel readings, it's imperative that you get a copy of your export file sent to Paul at cogstateinc.com, or you can send it to me at president@cogstateinc.com. Please get those to us as soon as possible so we can, because again, in August, we'll be releasing the updated equipment module. And when that happens, if your fuel import hasn't been converted yet, you'll have to post it by hand for a few times until we can get that done. But we will certainly do it as soon as possible. If we can get the file beforehand, it's just that much better. All right. So that kind of covers everything I was going to run around on. I'm going to leave it open for just basic questions on what I covered before I start showing and telling and kind of going over that a little bit slower with some visuals on the software itself. And again, you can unmute your mic. You basically talk into your mic if you have it, or you can post it on chat. Well, nobody's squawking on their mic. Let me check the chat window. I don't see anything in chat coming in either. All right, well, I'm going to move into the show and tell a little bit here on our presentation day here for what we've done. Let's go into one of the bigger ones that we've had that we spent a long time with our vendor. There is going to be another update on it. So I'm going to go into quickly, we've been doing go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and get into distribution report. Uh-oh, I got somebody. I'm going to mute somebody because I picked him up in the background there. There we go. All right, so we've got a distribution report. I don't have any good dates, so I got to go back a little bit because I got an old database right now. So 9, and I'm going to go from 9 to 12, 26, sure. Month dates, 7/1 to 7/31. And I'm going to do a summation drill down. I'll do a detailed drill down. Doesn't really matter what. So I'm going to go ahead and run the report. It'll do its thing. So as you can see, we have a lot in here. So if I go to like page 580, which if I click on one of these, we do have the sorts at the beginning of the column, so you can change the sort order of things. But if I go to back to the first one, it puts me back on page 1. So if I come back down to the 600, I gotta stop clicking. I'm a click happy guy. Let me go over this again. Let me stop. All right, so let me scroll down. I'm on page 5 with distribution report. And I want to go to look at the drill down on trees and shrubs. Okay, so that works. We see all the activity for trees and shrubs that I have. It's not a lot at this point. We have the sorts that you can play with. But if I were to click back to here, it'll take me back to page 1 and I lose my page 5. However, it's not supposed to do that. The vendor of the reports have been updated. So they know about it. There is a fix that's coming. But if I scroll back down to, okay, I'm going to be on page 25 and I'm just going to do forklift. So if I were to click back to here, it'll go to page 1. And here's where it's stupid. If I just click the header up here, this guy, click on him first, and then click distribution report, it doesn't go back to page 1. As stupid as that sounds, as idiotic as that is, that's the current quote hack or fix around it. They know about it, they will fix it, but you just basically have to click up on yearly account detail report, and then you can click back on distribution report, and it holds where you came from on there. So that hopefully will keep a lot of the phone calls about the fact that we go back to page 1 away. It won't be in a little while. I don't know when that is. The vendor promised us by the end of the fiscal year for them, which is 12/21 of this year. So that's quite a ways. There's a lot of length of time, but I can't do anything. I can't speed them up by, calling them every day on it. It was not going to change it. So again, just so you guys know, the workaround right now is just click up on the header and then click up on the distribution report, and you will stay on the where you came from. Okay, so that's first one. After we released our first go around on our inline editing, so let me go into, what's it called? What's it called? Inventory purchase orders. So you'll be seeing, oh, sure, I bring up the one. My database is weird right now because I have over 1 million purchase orders is a test right now. See, quite a few thousands. All right, so we come into here, and this grid here is what has been the new thing we've been doing, where when you click plus, you see the invoice. So what we fixed so far, sometimes when you'd hit plus, you'd only have to see a little bit and you have to scroll down. We have fixed that. So it'll always show the full spectrum of what you're seeing when you click a plus. The X now works correctly. That also had an issue. We added a expand everybody and a contract everybody button. So if this is, you can see every line expanded out, or you can contract every line in there. As soon as you expand one, though, the button has to just collapse, because then if just one is expanded, it has to believe everything is. So it's, not perfect, but it's way better than what it used to be. We've done several things also to scroll into view correctly. So if I am, let's just do a bunch of pluses here. Okay. So if I'm down here on line 18, but I go up to here on line 3, before when you used to click that, it didn't used to go all the way to the bottom and show it. It would, hang on, my phone's ringing. There it goes. Okay. So you get the idea. We've spent a lot of time making this better. We haven't released this particular version of it yet. It will be on probably later this afternoon. I'm going to be putting a release out. We're trying to squeeze one more change to some of the other parts that we've done. Okay, those are the two things. Those are the two ones that we've messed with. I'd like to cover anything else that somebody would be interested in seeing us do. I went through a lot of reports, but the biggest thing was, the functionality of having us be able to go back to where you were. It's just a goofy thing that the vendor of the report runner has. We found a way to get around it. So we implemented that. So you should be able to do that now. So it doesn't revert to page 1. Okay, so I'm not seeing a whole lot of activity. Again, any questions, guys, feel free. I'm open for anything. Okay, well, I haven't seen anything coming in. I appreciate you guys attending today and seeing the new things we've been working on. I'm going to give a 5-minute presentation of the new equipment. So when you come into equipment, this is going to be your new Pete's in here. So I'm basically going to kind of show and tell a little bit, like import. Oh, that's still the old one. Meter readings has changed quite significantly for that. We basically have the ability to key in different meters. We're no longer having a history, so this is just the most active read. You can update it from a fleet management. You can load it from an import file, as well as the new import field readings will show the update. You can see where we called it, update schedule C rates. We really didn't change anything in there. Preventive maintenance is now a new. So we were basically showing you create PM task, you assign tasks to your equipment. So, here we go. I got a snow plow. I want to add my oil change to it. And then you have all the details for what you're doing with that one oil change. Yeah, eat mustard. I had a good one. That was the day I spilled mustard all over myself. Again, and we have it separate so I can see oil change is on these pieces of equipment. Simple enough. Like I said, real quick. We just did preventive maintenance. The new equipment is much like our other activities now, where we show everything out there. The new equipment also has in vehicle details, no, in specifications, the new grid to show the different specifications so you can keep adding new grid lines for that. A work order, we've stopped using work order lines as our terminology. We're working more on work order task. So a work order has task to do it. If you want to see the new work orders come up, and we have our, general, then we have what task the work order has. Again, one of sort of like an inline edit. Parts required is this new one, but so you can keep adding task names and mechanic notes to it. This database doesn't really use tasks before, so they will now. Every work order has at least one task. Schedule maintenance. This is where we have, this particular view doesn't have the Samsara integration turned on. If you did, you'd have two other windows with some Samsara information, but basically I can come in here, I see my oil change is 834 days overdue and 2003 hours overdue on it. The last time it was done was 1/1/24. Again, my data is old, so all the days are what's on these. Yeah, sometimes it's never been done because I just added it. Again, 834. So we show in blue. I don't know if I'm going to have any yellows in here. Nope. So yellows is, we have like a percentage. You can just simply modify that. If I wanted to see everything that was just 50% coming over, maybe I'll get a yellow. Nope. 10%. Nope, not going to get a yellow. Again, it's just my data's old and I wasn't planning on showing it today, so I don't have a recent data. But what this does is this says, based on the meter, how much completion do you want to see before we show it up in yellow? Blue is always over. You got one of your meters that's over, and here's the day meter. He's over by 1,000 days. The hours is not. The hours is not over because it's not a plus. The hours is at 205 on the last read. So it's a little cryptic way of easily showing all of that information so that you can see how we do it. So again, this is the days is 10,050. The users is 4,577. And if we expand this out a little bit, every 5,000 is supposed to come due and every 90 days. So we're not quite overdue on the usage, but we are overdue on the number of days. We have miles in here too. I think, yeah, here's a miles. I'm over by 900, by 93,000 miles. So yeah, again, just it's mainly because the database is old. We haven't been, it's been highly corrupted. But when I go to show and tell this in our big meetings, on our training sessions, we will have a lot of this, a nice clean database to play with. All right, any other questions for the show and tell real quick? So this is coming in August for a full release, but like I said, we're working with places that have the things so that they can tell us what they like, what they don't like for this month. And then hopefully that will make sure that when we release it fully in August, everybody, the new equipment and everything will be squared up to date. Everybody have a great rest of your week and morning, at least today. And again, I appreciate you attending so that you can get the latest information.
You are now working smarter with ProFund Accounting. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.